गुड मॉर्निंग एंड वेलकम टू गणेश शॉर्ट। गणेश शॉर्ट में आप सबका स्वागत है। टुडे वी गोना टॉक ऑफ व्हाट इज वेल एंड नॉट वेल इन चाइना एंड हियर वी गो। वेल, you know, a lot of people in this point of time think that China is going to rescue Pakistan. Might be the case. I have no issue with that. And when it comes to war, economies don't matter. So Pakistan will get help from China come what may. This is the history of warfare and the history of the relationship between Pakistan and China. But that we will discuss separately. Now let's look at China itself. What's happening in China? Many people don't understand this and they think China is something, it's got a lot of money, it's got everything going for him and all that. We also need to understand that China is today going through its own war. It's going through a trade war with the USA, and it's got involved with other wars to the extent that all of a sudden they come out with a security doctrine. Why do they come out with a security doctrine or a white paper on national security? Because they feel endangered. And we discussed this yesterday, on the class seminar, and that's on Ghana Short also. But today we'll look at something completely different, right? What's happening within China? Unless you understand what's happening within China, it's very difficult to understand what China will do or gauge what China will do. Okay, and this is a thing which I used to do regularly before Op Sindur, and got interrupted. Now I'm back. In the sense, we need to go dive into China to see what's happening. Look, things in China are not in good order. Okay, and all my sources are Chinese. They're not Indian, they're not American, they're not this thing. They're all Chinese primary sources from Chinese media sites. So that tells you how authentic or not or authentic are these. But these are authentic, let me tell you. You know, South China Morning Post comes out with this global family offices to increase exposure to China and India over the next 12 months. That is family owned businesses. They want to get into India and China. But what he doesn't say is the Indian portion is huge, the Chinese only 12%, which is this 12% which these global families want to increase their exposure to China, where they're already there, committed. They don't have a choice but to expand it. Because China is not allowing them to contract it. And that gets projected as if something, everyone is rushing to China. No one is rushing to China. Look at this. If everyone is rushing to China and creating jobs, where's the problem? Problem is in youth unemployment. Why is there youth unemployment? There are no jobs. No, nothing. Normally around this time, the youth unemployment rate falls because it's the end of the year. So the guys of the end of the year, last year, keep, getting some job or the other. And even if a chap in China is employed for 3 days on a part-time job, he's counted as employed. So that much for employment in China. And this is now when there'll be about 12 million or 13 million students who are joining the workforce. Unka kya hoga? No one knows. And they come out with this kind of a thing. It's a very funny graph. The youth unemployment in China was going up and up and up and up. So suddenly, in 23, the whole, statistics was taken down. And then China adjusted the statistics. So this gap is there, if you see. And so after 2 months, 3 months, they said, no, we don't have that much. It was running at about 23%. Suddenly, after 2 months, they released the figures and it came down to 15%. But even after that, it has gone up. Nothing has changed, right? And this is the latest figure. This is the latest thing. But actually, if this should have been added here. So if you do that, it is here. As it is, there's 20% unemployment coming up, and then 12 million more people are coming. So there's a huge unemployment problem in China, right? Then this report comes out. Manufacturing is resilient in US, but consumption is not there. There's no consumption. So what's the use of you? I mean, they come out with these funny things. Oh, we are producing everything, but no one's consuming. So it's piling up. So if everything is piling up, then if there's no sales, nothing, there's no cash flow in businesses. Where are they going to go? And they come out still with this propaganda stories. Okay, and then it comes out. You see, then these are all self-fulfilling prophecies. The way it is, they come out with this story that look, since our resilience is good, we don't have to give stimulus. This economy needs a stimulus. China doesn't have money for a stimulus, but they manufacture stories to say, "Oh, we are resilient," but thoda consumption come hai. Since we are resilient, we don't have to give stimulus. You know, you look at it from any point of view, it's almost a dead end. And then there's belt tightening. There's today belt tightening at everywhere. See, what does Xi Jinping say? Fresh belt tightening initiative. It takes aim at white elephants, lavish meals, and flowers. So there are white elephants in China. They should have said white pandas, but there are white elephants. And these guys are eating up China internally. And who are these white elephants? These are the Communist Party of China. This kind of a belt tightening and all that came up during COVID when China's economy was tottering. So the day China starts saying belt tightening, you know that the situation is very bad. Okay, these are things which one has to understand, right? I see a new thing. All your comments here will keep coming up as they go along. That's a thing. So your comments are coming on stage in live. Right. So you put up your comments, you'll see your comments at the bottom right corner in the screen. If you see it here, all your comments are going to come up. Right. This is it. These are comments are coming up. Okay. So this is a new feature which I've added on. I mean, I wouldn't say added on. It's always there. Put it up. Okay. Right. Let's go ahead. So then there's a rate cut going on. Why is rate cut? Because the loans which people can take are being enabled by lesser interest rates, and they're giving huge rate cuts so that the property market can revive. Whatever you do, whether it is EVs or whether it is high tech industry or low tech industry, robotics, all that, property as a you know the base for a good economy has not gone. It will not go for any country unless your real estate structure, real estate sector, your property sector, your infrastructure sector is healthy. The economy can't be healthy because it gives scale, it gives connectivity, it gives people security. That's not there in China today. The bottom has fallen off, and they're still not this thing, and they're trying give rate cuts so that people can take loans and buy, but people are not doing it. Okay. Then there are questions from Caxin. This is Caxin. Caxin is their economic mouthpiece. Yikai and Caxin are economic mouthpieces. Their biggest question is, has the property market bottomed out? It hasn't. And that's what South China Morning Post tells you. Their property market faces uncertain future despite historic rate cuts. All these rate cuts are aimed at reviving consumption and reviving their property sector. If these two don't revive, I mean, consumption never took place. To spur consumption and revive the property sector. If these two don't take place, Chinese economy will not revive. Period. As simple as that. And this is the base from which they're fighting, which, they're assisting Pakistan. Remember, as these things are going out, we need to understand the China is getting hollowed out, right? This is a very interesting article. China's big banks take 1 year deposit rate below 1% for the first time. So if you deposit money in China, you'll get less than 1 month, 1% interest. Then the time is not far. When you deposit money in China, you'll have to pay the bank to keep your money. This happened in Japan. Okay, now they've got out of it. This happened in Japan. So when people say Japanification of China is happening, it's a fact. Okay, and then of course, in this article, it says there's room for further cuts is limited since the rate on demand deposits is already near zero and it is at 0.05%. So if China cuts its rates less than 1%, now there'll be a negative effect. They're gone, they're bottomed out. So they can't give loans. No one is prepared to take loans. No one, I mean, people are being discouraged to put their money in bank. So all this is happening in China. And most of the time we don't understand it. Okay. Now, what about EVs? A lot of people are talking EVs. China is, dominating the EV space. Okay, this chap Jazz and T, he seems to be, thinking that it's six love. So I think we need to take this fellow out. Right. Thank you. Right. End of story. He's off. He'll no more come. Okay. Right. EVs. As far as EV thing is concerned, China is in bad space. Right. What does the story say? In this story, he says of the country's 50 odd EV manufacturers, only three are profitable. The rest are not profitable. As simple as that. Which are these which are profitable? BYD, Li Auto, and Ceres. Three. That's what this article says. Other EV companies are saddled with lofty development and marketing costs. So there are no margins and no profitability. So the entire EV sector, which was supposed to be the high-tech sector to take China into the next level of productivity and all that which Xi Jinping was talking, is suffering. Right? And this article further says most Chinese EV makers' vehicle margin, that is the gap between the selling price and the tangible costs such as raw materials, labor, and logistics, narrowed to about 10% in 2024, last year. It used to be 20% earlier, but today it has fallen below that. So the EV thing is in pain. And what's more, Russia has stopped importing Chinese EVs. This is the heading in charts of the day. Russia taps the brakes on Chinese vehicle imports. It's very interesting. You see this bubbles? This is the growth of imports, or rather China's vehicle exports into Russia. Okay. Over the past 5 years. This year it's here in equivalent periods. I'm talking of equivalent periods. Forget about the numbers. You look at the small bubble. So Russia has actually stopped. End of story. So you have to understand what's going on in China and their economy and everything, and then everything else falls in place. Everyone says, there's a whole lot of noise about robots and this and that. China is doing the best and robots and all. Look at this. China's army of robot makers jostle for attention in an overcrowded market. What's happening in the EV sector is going to happen with robots. The problem with robots is this investment is very huge. If people don't buy these robots, end of story. And how many people can afford robots? They're not cheap. They're not cheap by any stretch of imagination, right? So that's how it is. And then there's a new thing. Their public hospitals are in a debt crisis. So a lot of things are happening in China which keep coming out when you read their internal news. Healthcare is very poor in China. Then let's look at the rare earth industry. This is the second report. This is in Guancha. Guancha says in 20 years, USA will go ahead of China in the rare earth race. Today, China is ahead. There's no doubt. This is the second report because the first report came about 3 months back in South China Morning Post that USA is doing some things where it's going to cut China's feet in rare earths. Now, a lot of you will be thinking, what is USA doing? You have to understand that a lot of rare earths, which are dysprosium based, are not available in China. They are in Myanmar. Okay. So rare earths are taken illegally from Myanmar and sent to China. They where it is processed and then exported. So what is America doing now? Why is America getting into Myanmar through Bangladesh to disrupt this entire critical minerals? It's not only minerals, many more things. This is one of the things which is doing. And one more thing. This is very funny. China's rare earth exports surged ahead of Trump trade war escalation. People knew that this chap is going to come out with something. So all the Chinese manufacturers, in a surge, exported rare earths to USA. So China puts a ban. Already the rare earths which are required for the next 1-2 years are already in USA. So in 1-2 years, the whole thing will get sorted out. And in 1-2 years, you don't know what the story in Myanmar is going to be. And China will be left with whatever it is. And what's more, China's struggling. See, at the end of the day, there are Chinese who are into smuggling in a big way. So, yeah, this fellow also, I think we need to waste him. Right. So, there are struggling. Okay. Now, the Chinese rare earth guys are now smuggling out to USA in a big manner, in a big way. So China can put a ban, but people within China who are struggling for money they'll not give up smuggling. You see, whenever there's a ban, whenever there's restrictions, smuggling starts big way. For all you know, this injection into or of troops into Myanmar, which is being attempted, let's see how it plays out, could be to ensure that a smuggling pipeline starts. So the rare earth metals get smuggled out through Myanmar. So a lot of things are happening, right, which we have to understand. Okay. Then Trump has put, Walmart went to China and said, tariff or no tariff, we will take and we'll sell. Not the Walmart wanted to pass off all those profits or other costs to the consumers and customers. Trump has said no. So let's see where this goes. So many people today think that Trump's trade war is not affecting China. It has affected China already. It will affect USA. I'm not bothered. But I'm more interested in what's happening in China. Okay. And then, of course, some of the richest provinces, like these articles say, are in problem. They've been caught. So all their riches were based on exports. Now those exports have fallen flat and they're sinking. Now, this report says China is moving to protect small traders. What protection? There's no protection. That small trader, he has to sell, otherwise he collapses. So, what is the protection which is being given? He says, okay, you can't, you know, sell ye, wo, you can take a loan. So all China is able to do is give loans. That small trader, he's got material, he can't sell, he has no money. If he takes a loan, what will happen to him? If he gets into mortgage, what will happen to him? So that's offset. Offtake is also not happening. And then US has put tariffs on pharmaceutical imports, okay, from China. So that is also being hit. It's not just one sector; it's a multi-sector. Every second day you read in China, articles in China, and you come to know which sector is being hit badly. Okay, now this is very interesting. If you go to USA, and anyone who's watching from USA will agree with me, the cost of normal drugs is very high in USA because I think the health system in USA is a huge racket. In fact, whenever we go to USA, we take all our drugs with us, or normal drugs which we are supposed to take, plus some generic drug we take. And at best, do a teleconsultation with a doctor in India and treat yourself because it's unaffordable out there. The common person in USA can't afford drugs. So what Trump has done, Trump has cut or rather, he intends to cut. I think he's already cut the prices of common drugs, and he's effected a cut of up to 30 to 60%, so that the common man can afford medicines. Now, if there's a price cut out there, and that's the people are being squeezed. So the whole story is that okay, these tariffs will squeeze whom? Tariffs plus price cut out there means the end effect is on China. Now, if you go back to this, so China's export of pharmaceutical is going to get hit badly, and this is not going to change, tariffs or no tariffs. In any case, tariffs are already now 2 months have passed. It will take another 4 5 months before any you know uh, mediation happens and anything happens. Then there are going to be stiff tariffs already. They're being put in place by USA so that rerouting through other South Asian countries, of especially these, solar panels and all are blocked. So China was doing it. Now the tariffs, everything is, those pipelines are being closed. Let's be very clear. Whether Trump supports India or not, whether Trump supports Pakistan or not, Trump is going to be unforgiving on China. Let's There's something which we should understand. Yeah. So that is something which has to be very clear to everyone. What happened as a thing? It's not just the solar panels, AO, and all that. Their entire polysilicon industry is going for a toss. Prices have collapsed. See, this is what this article says. China's polysilicon producers are cutting outputs to historically low levels with average operating rates dropping below 40%. There's a prolonged supply glut and plunging prices push the solar supply chain into the deepest downturn in years. Most producers begin scaling back production as early as the second half of 2024. So all China's high-tech industry, so-called, you know, uh, which Xi Jinping has been talking of, solar, all. I mean, what you take whatever you want, EVs, cars, batteries, pharmaceuticals. All these are under strain. They're suffering. Okay, one way or the other. I don't think China will be ever able to get out of it. And then, of course, they want to create a stronger domestic economy. Domestic economy is what? Consumption. When people are not getting jobs, how will they consume? That's the $1 million question. When people are not getting enough pay, how will they consume? When people are under debt, how will they consume? Right? That's common sense. But the Chinese Communist Party is creating all kinds of things to see how they can increase this story. But it's not happening. Now all cheap parcels, which USA has stopped, EU is also trying to stop. Or rather they will. Otherwise EU will get finished off. Right? Okay. So EU is now scrutinizing the deals between China and USA. EU has started scrutinizing the deals between USA and Britain. And then they're saying, look, how to get after China. So all this thing which, China is trying to do, okay, I have a problem with USA, let me go to, EU, is not working. Now, TikTok. Everyone talks of TikTok, YeWo, and all that. Recently, the Brazilian Prime Minister Lula and his wife went to China, and there in the state dinner, she was asked to speak, and she came out and said, "Look, TikTok is not good for children." It was a huge embarrassment, and most of us miss this story when because of Op Sindur. So this is how things are. Okay, and then what about their fertility rates and things like that? And this is by Fuxian. If you go through this tweet, okay, when you go through this tweet, it is very clear that their not Japan, China's fertility rate is going down and down and down. Okay, I will read out what he says, and then you'll understand what it is. Japan's Abenomics has apparently helped the Japanese economy get out of deflation, but the price which they paid is very heavy, because when whatever he has done, the fertility rate in Japan dropped from 1.45 in 2015 to 1.15 in 24. Huge. Japan's economy started reviving, but their fertility rates have started going down. Now, Japan faces a dilemma whether to maintain high housing prices or exchange rates. Housing prices are strongly negatively correlated with exchange rates and fertility rates. Since Japanese prices are still rising, it means the yen will continue to depreciate and the fertility will continue to decline. Now, here comes the comparison with China. China's housing prices are higher than Japan's, which means that the fertility rate will be lower than Japan's for a long time. So, the demography of China will not revive. If the demography of China doesn't revive, China will not revive. This is a core issue which many people miss out in analysis about China. Okay. And then there's a problem of elders. China is an aging society. The number of aging people in China is going up, geometrically. As a result, they have to be taken care of. And there are scandals in that. Huge scandals. And China doesn't have a handle on it. Now, such news reports coming out of virtually government sites. Kexen is virtually a government site, right? Is interesting. So they're going to have a problem, and old people have to be supported. And this is in a country which doesn't have pension for old people. Social security is poor. That we have the same problem in India. It's not as if we don't have this problem. We have to understand that. But one thing, if we have, is not a social security net as much as a community security net. You'll be surprised. You go to the Northeast, Northeast people are not very rich. They're very poor. They don't have many facilities. Nothing. But yet you don't see people begging. One. Number two, they're aged, are taken care of by their own society. Their societal, nets, safety nets are very strong. And to a large extent, it is strong in rural India also. It's only in urban India where we have a problem which we have to sort out. We have to sort out. The good thing is we are trying to sort it out. In China, they're not able to sort it out. As simple as that. If they can't sort this out, they can't take care of the old people because it's a aging economy. Economy is going to go down, and fertility is not coming in or growing up. So both sides in demography they are going down, and the rest of the story is there. All this is happening in a weakening economy. Okay, and then they're not lying flat. They don't talk of lying flat anymore because that's virtually a crime if you say I'm doing tongue or lying flat. So they're saying we're taking a break. We're not, we're stepping away from the 996 economy or the 996 routine. 9 hours a day, that kind of a routine, 9 to 9, 6 days a week. So things are not happy. And if people, the young people who are unemployed are going to take a break the way it is, a tongue type, then their economy is going to go down. It's not going to go up. And this is the reality of, here's this. I don't know why. This is a factor which has come out. It says China has the world's fastest rise in dementia. Is it with their lifestyle? Is it with their eating? Is it with their psychology? Is it because of what they have to go through due to the system of Chinese Communist Party? We don't know. But here it is. So what's happening in China is very, very, very interesting. We have to understand that. We have to understand what's happening in China. China is in a bad shape. In a very, very, very bad shape. And this China is supporting this Bikaris called Pakistan. Right. Okay. Now, this is how things are. Why did I put this? I said, let me give everyone an idea as to what's happening in China. And then we'll see what's happening elsewhere. We'll see what's happening between Pakistan and China. So, my next two podcasts is, having given you a base of China, is to see how Chinese equipment failed miserably. And that I'll do today evening at 7 o'clock with Sanjay Dikshit on Jaipur Dialogues. And then tomorrow we'll talk of the India, China, Pakistan, this triangle which is developing. Yeah, all these fellows who can come and they can come and troll and all that, there's no problem. There's no issue to that. But how will they? The fact is that they have lost badly. On that, there's no doubt at all. Okay, let me take a few questions. Krishna, thanks a lot for becoming a YouTube member. Nani Gardela, thanks again for becoming a member with me. Sai Kiran also, thank you. Roshan Singh, thanks for your contribution. Jayant, in the past 5 years, a literal mass exodus of Chinese have left China for the West. Who can leave are leaving because everything is not rosy there. I agree with you completely. On that, there's no doubt at all. Yeah. Wang Yi was seen mediating between Pakistan and Afghanistan. How dangerous is this for India? Well, they can do this. They can mediate between Pakistan and Afghanistan. But the fact remains, Pakistan and Afghanistan and Durand line politics predate Wang Yi. They're not going to come together. Afghanistan will talk its one language. The Taliban will talk it one language, but TTP will talk a different language. So I don't give much credence for this. I don't give much credence for this. These are desperate times for China. Please understand, there are desperate times for China and Pakistan. They're really in a desperate state. And we'll talk of it tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, I'll talk of this triangle. And today, we'll analyze how the Chinese weapons are gone for a toss. Right. Well, we prevail. General Shankar, as a person who dealt with Chinese businesses and has been to China many times, can say that whatever you're saying is true. Thanks a lot, Shankara, for endorsing what I've said. Things are in China are very, very bad. Okay. Then he says, in recent times, when I dealt with Chinese businessmen, I got shocked because most of them were not able to recover variable costs of the product. Yes, they're getting squeezed so badly. And who's getting hit maximum? The common people. I keep saying the rich in China are the CCP people, they are getting richer. The poor in China is the common man, he is getting nothing. So China is heading, of course, there are other issues in China. Like someone did ask. Now let me take a few other questions. I mean, these Pakistanis who come with 60 and dollar, I have no problem. But the fact remains, Pakistan is heading into deep problems on which I'll talk of tomorrow. Okay, now let me take a few questions. Yeah, Klaus seminar was pretty good. Oh yeah, thanks a lot. You're talking of the one on China's white paper on national security. I will talk of it in greater detail because that was only the first analysis. It demands a greater in-depth analysis because I think this white paper coming out indicates the problems of China. And a lot of those problems emanate from what I spoke and things like that. Every week, once I'll talk about China and what's happening within China. Okay. So we need to do more. Okay. Akash, good morning. Hans, good morning. And, yeah, jazz and teas, obviously. Okay. Namaskaram and shalom. Yeah, I did it for Pulse. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Rabdi Kulfi, good morning. How are you? I am an international student in US, interacted with many Chinese. They have gone from politically neutral to being highly contemptful of CCP after the COVID response. Thanks for the information. Right? Um, yeah. I have read an article stating that US sided with Pakistan in this conflict as they had a deal with Pakistan recently from critical minerals in Balochistan and GB. Do you think this played any role? I think so. I think so. And just about last month, um, there was a deal between a Canadian company, Barrick and Barrick Gold, and Pakistan for giving mining rights to Barrick in Rekodik. That's a place where this whole story is happening in Chagai Hills for the next 50, 60 years. Somewhere the Chinese are clued into it, and Trump is coming into it. The way I look at it is, if you play well, this could be the leverage for Balochistan getting independence. If the Balochis are smart, they'll do a deal with US, give Jacobabad to US as a base. The day these two happen, Balochistan will get independence. As simple as that. Because they want a base here, the Americans. If they get a base here, a secure base, end of story. Pakistanis don't want to give them a base because the Chinese are worried. And they are too much in debt with China, so they can't give. And then if they give a base to USA, then they have internal problems and Pakistan army, will not get money. These generals will not be in power. But if the Baluchis are smart, they have to see that gold, those mines which are there in Balochistan, they have to be used and developed. Someone will develop it, whether you like it or not. So politically, if the Baluchis make a deal with USA, okay, we'll get into a deal for the gold. Keep the Chinese out. We'll give you Jacobabad. You'll get the new Baluchistan. Let's see how things happen. They're not fools exactly. It seems the same old trend is going on. No new change. China doing to its business, bullshit to its citizens and planning evil schemes against India. Uh, we have to understand China uh, has gone into war with India in an undeclared manner. China is in an undeclared war with India, and we should also know that and deal with them accordingly. People say Japanification of China, but what happened to Japan still seems to be a child's play when we see what's happening to China. 100% agree with you. Forget battlefield tactics. This general's mastering the art of national embarrassment. Yes, we are mastering the national art of national embarrassment of Pakistan. Let's be very clear. Zhang Yuxia rumored to be in control of PLA, not Z, with economic problems. What are the chances of China going for Taiwan to divert from economy? Look, I've explained this, and today evening I'll again explain it. And last thing I spoke about the PLA, their equipment and the way they're having problems with their troops. The leadership is not there. They can't go anywhere. There's a huge struggle on in China at this point of time. Oh, this is something new. Okay. So there's a huge problem in China at this point of time, right? So they can't do much. Uh, they're in a they're in a bad shape. You have to be careful about China. I think the crunch of this whole story will come out in a couple of months. Let's see where it goes. Yeah, putting the chat on the screen distracts from the presentation. My humble opinion, I agree with you. Hereafter, I'll not do it. I just thought I'll do it as it come about. Yeah. You should do a collab with Lay from Lay's Real Talks. I tried once, it didn't work out. We are listening for so long and so much that China is sliding down economically and military. We don't see much in reality. Oh, no, no, no. Please understand. Why did they go back? Kamal, understand this very clearly. Why did China go back from uh, the LAC last October in Kazan after that meeting with the Prime Minister, between Prime Minister and Xi Jinping? Why did they go back from Eastern Ladakh? Why did they step back from Depsang? Why did they step back from Demchok? Why? They didn't have. They were sitting pretty tight out there. They stepped back because militarily it was not sustainable for them. Economically, it was not sustainable for them. It's not that maintaining them was not sustainable, but they were growing weak. Logically, they couldn't hang on to that place because there were internal questions being asked, what are you doing there without any gains? So they had to go back. They had to come back to India for their markets. They had to ease relations with India. There's no choice of with them. So that is the thing. That is why if they were economically strong, they wouldn't have gone back. So please understand this. And with China, things don't happen in a hurry. They'll happen only slowly. Looks like ISA has deployed their unemployed scammers to cry here. Yeah, yeah, it's very good that they're worried about what I talk. Yeah. What I'd request everyone is block this chaps out. You can block it from your end. So all these fellows who are trying to troll, just block. Yeah, China has stopped paying the contractors, especially overseas project. They owe hundreds of millions to my ex-employer. Yeah, these are their huge debts. And at some point of time, this whole story has to go down. At this point of time, in fact, the hope from the West is that they'll support China. Why do they want to support China? Because their investments are locked in there. If they come out of China, if they come out of China, they have a problem because they're going to face losses. So you're stuck in a bad deal. So people are continuing with that bad deal, as simple as that. Yeah, I think China is stuck in a circular trap. No jobs, so less consumption, less. So we can't produce more employment. That's the way it is. It's in a bad shape. Okay. Yeah, let's see what else. Right. Have you considered hosting a conference on Indian national security? Well, that is something for Delhi to do. I don't want to take over their jobs. Yeah. Dementia is due to double think. They have to do. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. Samuel Samson Rodriguez, India is ready to export water to Pakistan. Yeah, that's it. Looking at the quality of army personnel in Pakistan, can they assimilate modern technology in the army? No, they can't. And that's one of the reasons they are failing. They're not able to handle high tech. They're very good fighters. The people, men are good. Let's not have, like I say, you should know how to respect your enemy with the person whom you're going to fight, right? But can they assimilate modern technology? They can't. They have to fight the old way. Okay. What other actions can the government of India do to crush the Bangladesh government economically? Time to set them in place has been long due. What? Look, don't worry about Bangladesh. Bangladesh is going through a problem of its own. The less we interfere in Bangladesh, the better off we are. It's not a it's not a happy situation for Bangladesh to be in. At this point of time, they are in a precarious situation. The army chief has, said very clearly, he's laid the line that before end of the year there will be elections. No more funny things. And he's very clearly told the interim government of Yunus that all your stories will stop. Get down to doing no policy decisions, no Americans coming here, no Chinese coming here, and everything. He's not said no Chinese coming here, but virtually it means that only. So they want nothing great will happen in Bangladesh. There'll be an internal problem which will continue. There will be factions which will be there. We'll see how it whole story. We have to monitor it and handle it. There will be a time when we will regain or I won't say our status in Bangladesh. It's a matter of time. Because there's a whole lot of people in Bangladesh who regret what is happening at this point of time because it's hit their economy badly. So just wait. Yeah, very nice analysis, sir. I really admire. Thanks a lot. Are there GDP per capita numbers also fake? Hugely fake. Hugely fake. Mm. China ban magnet of EV for India. They will. They're banning the magnets because they want you to take the whole assembly. That's the reason. But this will continue. Nothing very great. Uh, The white paper discussion was great, very insightful. Thanks a lot, Ashok. But I have to do a follow up on that. That was very superficial the way I look at it. I'll be very honest with you. Uh, I'll get Rajiv, General Rajiv, and I will do a discussion on this little later. Maybe a month or so later, not in a hurry. Uh, how can China sustain if their own resources are exhausted? That's the problem. And that's going to happen. I always keep saying 2030 will be the important time when things will change for us and for China. Both. Okay. And after 2030, you'll see a different China. And till now to 2030 is our critical period. After 2030, China can do very little to us. Till then, we are vulnerable in a few places. Why 2030? I'll explain some other day. All right. But take it from me. Next 5 years are critical. If we get through the next 5 years well, we are home and free. A lot of people will talk of Pakistan, ye wo. The Pakistanis are basic idiots. They are in a stage where they can only talk of six love, but they're going to go 100 love down on all other parameters. I mean, we shouldn't bother about Pakistan beyond a point. We should look at our own progress. Just to give you an idea, where Pakistan is still grappling with an idiot of a dictator, and today Pakistan, there are 12% people who don't eat more than one meal a day. I mean, just think, out of 250 million people, 12%, that's about 30 million people, don't eat more than one meal a day. They're in abject poverty. This Op Sindur will take them down even further. What's happening in our side? Today, our Prime Minister is going to have a meet of investors to boost our economy. There's a analysis which has come out about how much money Pakistan will need to replace what they have lost in Op Sindur. That's about $8 billion. That's more than the IMF loan. And today evening I'll talk of it. Then I would like to see these assholes coming and talking, these Pakistani bots from ISI talking, because I'm going to show them their reality. Yeah, while traveling in bullet train in 2018 from Beijing to Shanghai, I came to know that a person who is with a low social security score can't even enter it. Yeah, why this? A chap who doesn't want to join the army can't enter all their, many things, including this. He doesn't get a loan also. There are a lot of issues which China has, which we, tend to not understand. Do you think Xi might initiate a cultural revolution instead of going for Taiwan? We don't know. A lot of things are opaque in China. To predict what exactly will happen in China, we don't know. But the general trend line is something we should understand. And from that general trend line, what affects us, we should be able to understand. What we need to understand very seriously is there is going to be strife in China. It's coming ahead. How that strife it takes off, we don't know, but it's going to affect us. It's going to affect Pakistan. That's the thing. It appears that Pakistan is dancing on the fence and slipped with his legs on both sides of the fence. Medical examination between the legs may give an idea. I agree with you, Kakash, completely. Thank you. How will Chinese people react when CCP firewall falls and they realize the propaganda has been false? That's $1 million question. And it is they who will throw these chaps out. And there might be a complete coup and Xi Jinping is thing. There are issues in this. I mean, this is the unknown of the whole story. China might not collapse because the society, I think, at some level is very strong. But at the same time, the society has gone weak because of this one child policy. So there's a contradiction between traditional Chinese norms and the nuclear Chinese family norms which have evolved. How this will interact and what will come out is to be seen. A crunch in China will cause them to externalize the problem like Pakistan did. How do we prepare for this from a dime perspective? Yeah, that's a very good question. Uh, the problem is coming, everyone knows it. And this is the opportunity for us to put in place or act together so that our growth is not affected. That's the first thing. The second thing is, if China has to externalize the situation, where will it go and externalize? Will it externalize against India? I don't think so. I don't think so. Especially after what has happened to Pakistan. Look, you have to understand what has happened to Pakistan. It will get analyzed. The analysis has started coming out. The first of the fake news, everything is over. The analysis has started coming out. That analysis, which is coming out, I'll put it together and put it on either today. I mean, today evening with at 7 o'clock with Sanjay Dixit. Then you'll see where we are going. Okay, so they're not going to come here. So they might go to Taiwan. They might go elsewhere. What they'll be able to do, we don't know, but it's going to be disaster for them. So whether they'll go or not is a question mark. Yeah, Chinese money is not freely convertible. How China pay for imports? Well, they have a lot of dollar surplus. They use that, so don't worry about that. Yeah, China banned magnet for EV. Sir, please make a show on this. Look, it's a very small thing. You don't need a show for this. I've already done a complete story on rare earths in India. Have a look at it. Put rare earths in gunner shot. Search for it. You'll get a whole story about it. If you want, let me know. I'll recycle that thing. What's your opinion on points made by Forces magazine editor on Karan Thapar interview? Look, that fellow is a joker. Huh? I've known him from long. Praveen Sani. He's a fraud. That's all. So there's no point talking of him. Yeah, same thing. What's your opinion on Praveen Sani? He's a fraud. He's been paid by China and Pakistan. Okay, he's a gunner, incidentally. So I know him well. Only thing he's a fraud gunner. Hello, I am a Chinese here to watch the troll. Thank you. General Shankar should do a podcast with Adi Achint in defense talks. Let me put it across to you, right? Yeah. Uh, I don't go to defense talks. Simple. Okay. Let me take one more question. You're doing great, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Venkata Misla, for becoming a member. And I think in news, TSMC has not interested to invest in India. How can India increase its hold on? No, it's not so. Prasad, that's not right. It's not right. I'll show you articles where there is uh, just tomorrow or day after, where in this business of India, China, and Pakistan, where we stand. I'll show you articles which say that people are investing in India. Don't worry. And last question: can the carrier group intercept BrahMos? It's very difficult to intercept a BrahMos because it's flight path and speed. I've not seen it happen so far. So don't worry about that also. Right? Thanks a lot. Great to have so many people attending, and I've attempted to answer a lot of questions. So we'll do tomorrow India, Pakistan, and China, and the issues involved with all three of them. Okay. Till then, thanks a lot. And of course, evening we'll meet at 7 o'clock with Sanjay Dixit and Jaipur Dialogues. And then we're going to talk of fake Chinese equipment and how Pakistan suffered. Till then, good evening and Jai Hind to all of you. Or rather, good morning and have a great day.